She wasn't a friend. She wasn't family. She was the nanny, and now she's breaking her silence. Explosive claims are surfacing that have Erika Kirk under intense fire, as a woman who lived inside the house reveals what she says really happened behind closed doors. From secret arguments to late-night panic, and warnings never meant for the public, this shocking tell-all is flipping the entire story upside down. And the most disturbing part. The nanny says this is only the beginning. The silence didn't break gently, it exploded. One unexpected voice. One confession no one saw coming. And suddenly, a carefully polished image was under fire. Tonight, the internet is in chaos, because the last person anyone expected has stepped forward and spoken out. Not a rival. Not an ex. Not a blogger chasing clout. A nanny. A woman who lived inside the home. Who watched the routines. Who heard the arguments when the doors were closed and the cameras were off. And now, she's claiming that what the public thought they knew about Erika Kirk was only half the story. For years, Erika Kirk was seen as composed, calculated, and in control. Every appearance looked intentional. Every photo felt curated. Fans admired her balance, career, family, public image all seemingly aligned. But according to the nanny, that calm was an act. A performance perfected for the outside world. Behind the scenes, she says, the atmosphere was tense, unpredictable, and filled with moments that made her fear what would happen if the truth ever slipped out. The nanny didn't rush to speak. In fact, she claims she stayed silent for years out of loyalty and fear. Fear of backlash. Fear of legal consequences. Fear of not being believed. But what changed everything, she says, was realizing that silence was protecting the wrong person. And once she made that decision, there was no turning back. Her first statement dropped quietly, almost cautiously. No names at first. Just hints. Just descriptions. I watched things happen that didn't match the image, she wrote. I heard conversations that made my stomach turn. And I was warned, more than once, to forget what I saw. Within minutes, fans began connecting dots. The timeline matched Erika's household. The routines lined up. And then the nanny did what no one expected, she confirmed it. Erika Kirk was the woman she was talking about. The internet froze. Almost immediately, people split into camps. Supporters demanded proof, calling the nanny bitter and attention-hungry. Others believed her instantly, pointing out that nannies are often the quiet witnesses to powerful households. People who see everything, but are expected to say nothing. And as the debate raged, the nanny released her next claim, one that shifted the entire narrative. She said Erika lived in constant fear of exposure. According to the nanny, there were days when Erika was calm and controlled, and then moments when something small would trigger panic. Missed calls. Unexpected visitors. Even questions from staff. The nanny claims Erika would suddenly demand privacy, shut herself away, and pace for hours while whispering into her phone. These weren't business calls, she says. These were defensive conversations. Conversations filled with suspicion, accusations, and warnings. One night, the nanny claims, Erika gathered everyone in the house and issued a strict rule. No one was allowed to discuss what happened inside the home with anyone, ever. Not friends. Not family. Not even each other. The nanny says the tone wasn't protective. It was threatening. And that's when she realized something bigger was going on. As days passed, the nanny says she noticed patterns. Erika was obsessed with control. She monitored schedules closely. She double-checked locks. She asked strange questions. Who had spoken to whom? Who had seen what? Who might be talking? The nanny describes an environment where trust didn't exist, only surveillance. And then came the moment that changed everything for her. The locked drawer. According to the nanny, Erika kept a drawer in her private office that no one was allowed to touch. Not cleaners. Not assistants. Not family. The nanny claims Erika checked it constantly, sometimes multiple times a day. If anyone got too close, Erika would snap, her calm demeanor instantly replaced with sharp panic. The nanny says she once brushed against the desk accidentally and Erika reacted as if a line had been crossed beyond repair. That drawer, the nanny claims, held the reason for Erika's fear. At first, she didn't know what was inside. She didn't want to know. But over time, bits and pieces surfaced. Erika would reference insurance. She would say things like, "If anything happens, they'll know, or I won't go down alone." At the time, the nanny thought it was stress talking. But looking back now, she believes it was preparation. As the nanny's claims spread, something strange happened. Erika didn't respond. No denial. No clarification. No carefully worded statement from a representative. Just silence. And in the world of public scandals, silence is never neutral. It invites speculation. It confirms fear. And it gives oxygen to every rumor circulating online. Within hours, old interviews of Erika resurfaced. Fans re-watched them with new eyes, noticing moments of tension they'd ignored before. Sudden changes in tone. Vague answers to direct questions. Laughs that didn't reach her eyes. People began asking whether the signs were always there, and whether the nanny was simply the first to say it out loud. Then came the alleged messages. The nanny claims Erika sent her multiple late-night texts warning her to stay loyal, and remember who pays you. One message allegedly read, "People like you don't survive scandals." Another said, "You saw nothing. That's how you keep your job." The nanny says those messages were the reason she finally decided to speak, because they proved that Erika wasn't just afraid of rumors. She was actively trying to silence them. As screenshots began circulating, fans were torn. Some questioned their authenticity. Others said the language sounded exactly like someone under pressure. And still, Erika said nothing. Behind the scenes, insiders claim legal teams were scrambling. Blog posts vanished. Accounts went private. Certain names stopped trending as quickly as they appeared. It was as if an invisible hand was trying to slow the spread. But once a story reaches this level, control is an illusion. The nanny ended her first wave of claims with a warning. She said she hadn't even scratched the surface. That what she knew went beyond behavior and words. That there were documents, records, proof. And if pushed, she would release everything. That single statement sent shockwaves through the internet. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about a disgruntled employee, or a messy household. This was about power. About secrets. About what happens when the people, who were never supposed to speak, finally decide they have nothing left to lose. As the night ended, one question hung in the air. Why was Erika Kirk so afraid of the truth coming out? And what exactly was she protecting inside that locked drawer? Because if the nanny is telling the truth, this story isn't just starting. It's about to explode. By the next morning, the story had mutated into something far bigger than anyone expected. What began as a single nanny speaking out had turned into a full-blown digital investigation, with thousands of strangers combing through timelines, screenshots, and archived posts, looking for anything that could confirm or destroy her claims. And as the pressure mounted, cracks began to form in places no one thought to look. The nanny didn't disappear after her first statement. Instead, she leaned in. In a follow-up post, She explained why she stayed as long as she did. Invitations dried up. Events she was rumored to attend quietly removed her name. It wasn't cancellation, it was caution. People didn't know what was coming next, and no one wanted to be caught standing too close when it hit. Then came the drawer. The nanny returned to it in detail, describing it as more than just a hiding place. According to her, Erika treated it like a pressure valve. When stress spiked, she went to that drawer. When phone calls ended badly, she went to that drawer. When she felt cornered, she went to that drawer. The nanny claimed Erika once said, half joking and half serious, "This is why I sleep at night." That line alone sent speculation into overdrive. What could give someone that level of comfort, and that level of fear at the same time? The nanny didn't say exactly what was inside. But she hinted. Printed emails. Old messages. Notes written in different handwriting. A small device she never touched. And one name that came up more than once. She refused to say it. Not yet. Because once that name is public, she wrote, "This stops being about me." That statement changed everything. Now, people weren't just watching Erika. They were watching everyone around her. Suddenly, unrelated posts from unrelated people were being analyzed for hidden meaning. Old collaborations were reframed as suspicious. Missed appearances were labeled strategic. Even neutral statements were treated like coded language. The internet had decided. There was a bigger story buried underneath, and the nanny had only lifted the corner. As tension built, legal analysts chimed in, pointing out something unsettling. Erika hadn't denied the claims. She hadn't threatened legal action. She hadn't issued cease and desists. For someone with resources and reputation to protect, that absence was glaring. Some speculated it meant the claims were false and not worth addressing. Others argued the opposite, that responding would risk opening doors better left closed. Then came the leak that shifted the tone from scandal to standoff. A message allegedly sent from Erika to a confidant surfaced, reading, "If she releases anything, it's not just me. Remind them of that." The message didn't name the nanny. It didn't explain anything. But it suggested mutual destruction. And once again, Erika's fear looked less like guilt, and more like deterrence. The nanny responded within hours. She said she never wanted to hurt anyone else. That she tried to walk away quietly. That she warned Erika privately before speaking publicly. According to her, this was never about revenge. It was about protection. Protection for herself. Protection for the people who didn't have Erika's platform. Protection for the truth. She then dropped her most unsettling claim yet. She said Erika knew the story would come out eventually, and planned for it. According to the nanny, Erika believed exposure was inevitable. That's why she documented everything. That's why she saved messages instead of deleting them. That's why she kept reminders, timelines, and names in one place. Not as evidence of wrongdoing, but as leverage against it. She always said, the nanny wrote, "If I fall, I'm not falling alone." That line echoed everywhere. As the internet tried to make sense of it all, one thing became clear. This was no longer a simple accusation. It was a power struggle. A question of who controlled the narrative, and who controlled the fallout. Behind the scenes, whispers suggested meetings were happening. Phones were ringing. Lawyers were advising silence. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Erika Kirk was watching the fire spread, unable to stop it without risking everything she'd worked to protect. By the end of the day, the nanny issued a final statement for now. She said part 3 would come, but only if she felt threatened again. Only if attempts were made to discredit her. Only if pressure crossed a line. And with that, she went quiet, No posts. No comments. No responses. Leaving the world with a story half told, a drawer still locked, and a question that refused to fade. If Erika Kirk wasn't afraid of the nanny, who was she really afraid of? Because whatever was hidden behind that silence had already started pulling others into its orbit. And once that happens, there's no going back. The final shift didn't begin with a post. It began with movement. Accounts that had gone silent reactivated at the same time. Legal blogs updated language in older articles. A single journalist changed their pinned tweet without explanation. And then, quietly, the nanny returned, no announcement, no build-up, just a sentence that landed like a warning shot. I tried to stop this from going further. Within minutes, the internet understood what that meant. The nanny said pressure had crossed the line. Not threats, pressure. Phone calls from unfamiliar numbers. Messages sent through mutual contacts. Advice that sounded a lot like instruction. She didn't name names, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew the clock had run out. Her next release wasn't emotional. It was structured. She posted a timeline. Dates. Locations. Short descriptions. Nothing sensational, just facts as she claimed to have witnessed them. It showed patterns. Sudden changes in routine after certain meetings, unexplained absences, and moments when Erika Kirk's behavior shifted dramatically within hours of specific interactions. The timeline didn't accuse. It implied. An implication, when supported by consistency, is often more dangerous than accusation. Then came the list. Not the full list, just confirmation that it existed. According to the nanny, the drawer wasn't just a container. It was a system. Inside were names connected by proximity, not friendship. People who crossed paths at the wrong times. People who shared access to information. People who benefited from silence. She emphasized that the list wasn't evidence of guilt, it was evidence of exposure. A map of who knew what, and when. The internet held its breath. Because this meant Erika Kirk wasn't the center of the storm. She was standing in it, holding an umbrella made of secrets. Hours later, Erika finally broke her silence. Not with a denial. Not with an apology. With a statement that changed the temperature of the room. She claimed she was being extorted. According to Erika, a former employee was attempting to coerce her using fragments of private material taken out of context. She framed herself as a target, not a tyrant. She said fear, not control, explained her behavior. And she ended with a single line that sent analysts scrambling. I have cooperated fully with those who need to know. Those who need to know. Not the public. Not fans. Someone else. The nanny responded within the hour. She said she never asked for money. Never demanded silence. Never made contact after leaving the house, until warnings were sent to her first. She posted timestamps. She posted screenshots of messages telling her to be careful, and remember what happens to people who get loud. She said if this was cooperation, it was happening without her consent. That's when the story fractured. Some believed Erika's explanation. Stress. Fear. A powerful woman pushed too far. Others saw the response as confirmation that the nanny's claims had teeth. Because if there was nothing there, why escalate to official channels? Then came the leak no one expected. A blurred photograph appeared online, quickly deleted, then reposted by dozens of accounts. Erika Kirk standing beside a dark vehicle in a parking structure. Her face tense. Her posture guarded. Across from her, a figure obscured by shadow. No caption. No context. Just a timestamp, 2 months before the nanny spoke out. The nanny confirmed it. She said that meeting changed. Commentators split instantly. Some said this made Erika more sympathetic. Others argued it made her more dangerous. Because people who believe they're out of options don't play defense, they prepare for impact. As pressure mounted, something unprecedented happened. Another voice entered the conversation. A former associate. Anonymous. Verified by 2 outlets. They didn't accuse Erika of wrongdoing. Instead, they confirmed the environment. The fear. The silence. The unspoken rule that some topics never came up. They said Erika wasn't the most powerful person in the room, but she knew who was. That was the moment the public realized the story had outgrown its names. This wasn't nanny versus employer. It was witness versus system. The nanny's final post came late at night. She said she wouldn't release the contents of the drawer unless forced. Not because she was afraid, but because once released, it couldn't be controlled. Careers would end. Reputations would collapse. And not all of the fallout would land where it belonged. She ended with a question directed at Erika. Do you want this to be about me? Or about why you were preparing for war? Erika did not respond. Instead, her legal team issued a short notice stating that all parties were advised to refrain from further public commentary. Translation: this had crossed into territory where words had consequences. And then, quiet. No posts. No leaks. No updates. Just speculation. But silence, once broken, never seals the same way twice. Because everyone now knows the drawer exists. The list exists. The meeting happened. And the nanny knows more than she's said. This story didn't end with exposure. It paused with a standoff. A choice hanging in the air. Either the truth stays fragmented, managed, negotiated, contained. Or someone decides containment is no longer worth the cost. And when that happens, it won't arrive as gossip. It will arrive as confirmation. Because secrets don't disappear. This story is far from over, and the next move could change everything. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the nanny is exposing the truth? Or is Erika Kirk being set up in a much bigger game? Who do you think that mystery meeting was really about? And what's hiding in that locked drawer? Drop your theories in the comments right now. If you want us to keep breaking down every update as this unfolds, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the moment the silence breaks again, you won't want to miss it.